Welcome to Lighting for Profits.
All right.
Powered by Emery Allen. Here is your host, Ryan Lee.
All right. Welcome. I don't know if you guys know this, but we're currently trending as the #1 landscape lighting show in Nashville, Tennessee. That's what's up. I'm Ryan Lee, your host of Lighting for Profits, powered by Emery Allen. And we got a great show lined up for you today. We'll be talking a lot of different things, including business, outdoor audio, referral partners, and more. So make sure you guys stick around, take notes. I get fired up about this show. And by the way, if you're looking to start or grow a landscape lighting business, you're definitely in the right place. So we want to educate, we want to motivate, we want to help you dominate. And that's our goal for the show today. Want to thank you guys for your support. We got some reviews coming in. You know, it's like, you guys know what it's like when you ask for those 5-star reviews and you don't get them. You're like, what's wrong with me? And then all of a sudden it's just like you get momentum and back to back. So thank you guys so much for your support. Really appreciate it. Today we got Mr. Eric Holmgren with Music City Outdoor Lighting. He's been on the show before. He's a friend of the show, and he's coming back on. So I'm excited to have Eric on, and he is the owner of Music City Outdoor Lighting. So we'll have him on in just a few minutes. Well, you know what? Let me ask you a question before we have Eric come on. When's the last time someone told their friends about their flight on Spirit Airlines? Exactly. Well, maybe you told it for the wrong reason, right? But listen, if you want people to stop fighting you on price, you've got to stop selling like the Spirit and the Frontier Airlines and start selling like JSX. And today I'm going to show you how to do that. So remember, people don't remember the price. You know, you might think they do, but they remember how you made them feel. And a couple of weeks ago, a quick story, I was going to Vegas. Lindsay and I went to Vegas with some friends. We met them down there. And we normally drive. And it was just a short trip. And I was like, you know what? Let's fly down there. So I started looking at flights on Delta and some different airlines and stuff like that. And then I remember, I don't know if you guys have heard of JSX. Have you heard of JSX? It's like a private airline, but it's not private. It's like a private airline that's public. So basically these are, it's like a public airline, but you get some private benefits. So there's 30 seats on these jets, and it's not private. Like there's other strangers on there, but there are some really cool advantages. So I booked this flight down there for us. And the reason I did it was because I wanted to try something new. And I've been flying first class for a few years now, but I still can't stand airports. Like the whole TSA thing, the security. I mean, I've got pre-check. I've got all the things that you need to just go right through security, but I swear I always get flagged. Like maybe I did something illegal in a prior life, or there's a Ryan Lee on a list somewhere because they're like, oh, random check. And they're like, pat me down and stuff. And I just don't like masses amount of people like that. So I was like, you know what, let's look at this JSX. And I'm like, hey, this is cool. They got a flight down to Vegas. So I book it. Never done it or anything like that. And we show up, and I got to tell you, it was awesome. Like you just show up to a hangar. You're at the airport, but it's like the other side of the airport. You're at a hangar, and you walk in, and like you give them your ID, and they grab your bags, and they check you for, you know, security and stuff. But it's like real quick. You don't even know you're being checked, really. They like wand you with some stuff. And now you're just sitting there waiting for the flight. And they even tell you, like, you only need to show up 20 minutes before the flight. I'm like, 20 minutes? Like, that seems a little close. So we get there 40 minutes early just because I'm paranoid the first time. And sure enough, we could have gotten there 20 minutes before the flight because we sat there for 20 minutes. But they had drinks and snacks and stuff like that. And it was just so cool being able to show up like right before the flight. And so the experience was amazing. You just literally walk out like not even far to the plane, get on the plane, and within like 5 minutes, you're in the air. Like super easy. It was an amazing experience. They have drinks, they have snacks. Like it's just an awesome experience. The legroom was amazing, which is important for me. I'm 6'1". The seats were not quite as wide as first class, but it was still a comfortable environment, and everyone seemed to be in a good mood. And again, there was just 30 people sitting in this room. It wasn't like this mass chaos. And I really learned a lot through this experience. And it reminded me of how we need to differentiate our businesses by experience. When you do this, you completely remove the price objection. See, we all know that you can get on a Frontier or Spirit Airlines, usually for a fraction of the cost, and get to the same destination. So if it really truly is about money, then why isn't everybody flying on Frontier or Spirit? Because it's not about the money, it's about the experience. And when you go on these other budget airlines, you're going to get nickel and dimed and it's not as comfortable. And like, you don't get the benefits, you don't get the experience of these other airlines. So I put together real quick a JSX framework that you guys can apply in your business. And again, it's all about the experience. I want you guys to shift your mindset. It doesn't really matter the price at all. Like, I honestly don't remember. I think it was around $1,200 or something like that to fly on JSX. I don't remember the price. I truly don't. I just remember the experience. And I'm like, I'm going to do that again. Okay. Now, at some point, price does become a factor, because if I was only about experience, then I would just fly private, but I don't have $40,000 each way to fly private. Okay. So, yes, there is some stipulation in here, but generally, especially when you're talking landscape lighting, our clients are wealthy. They have money. If you're getting that price objection, chances are it just has to do with the value that you're communicating and the experience that you're providing. So, JSX, the J stands for the journey. Okay, the journey even before the sell. So I want you guys to start focusing on the entire journey, not just the transaction, not just when you get there, but I'm talking from the first impression to the follow up. Design every step to feel premium, smooth, and effortless. So I wrote down an example of some of the things you guys could do for journey. So even from the first phone call, like, treat them like they're booking a first class flight, not just booking a project. Okay. Most likely your competitors are just going to treat them like a client and a project, right? You could have a concierge style intake form that feels exclusive to them, asking them kind of intimate personal questions. You could send them a welcome package when they first inquire. This could be like an actual physical package, or it could be just digital, right? And it's going to talk about the experience they're about to step into. What if they got a personalized video from you? What if they got a personalized video from the owner sent to them, welcoming them to the family, and setting up the expectations for what's going to happen, whether it's you or one of your lighting designers going to meet with them? Okay, so that's the J in the JSX framework. S, sensory triggers. Okay, so S, the sensory triggers. Like, think about this. So you want to engage their senses. Okay, what do they see? What do they hear? How do they feel when they engage with your brand? And this starts from like when they first see an ad, a postcard, a wrapped truck, your uniform, how you look, right? How do you smell? Like, you might stink. You want to really create an emotional anchor through touch points that feel luxurious, exclusive, and personal. Okay. And that is part of these sensory triggers. So, uh, let me give you some examples. Number one, you could use high end printed proposals. A lot of people go in and they don't have anything. There was a time where I didn't have anything, but as I got more success, got more time, and got more money, I was able to build these nicer leave behinds and even books to leave behind, right? Um, think about this. What if you laid down like a velvet mat? If you're going to show them some fixtures, what if you put on like gloves and like a velvet mat, right? Even a short video presentation with music. Okay, we got Eric coming on. We're going to talk about music here in just a few minutes. Music is very emotional, right? And we're trying to engage the emotional side of these people's brains, because logically, it doesn't make sense to spend $600 on a light fixture. We need to tap into the emotional side here. Okay. So these sensory triggers, again, short video presentation with music. You could play a 1-minute video inside their home, getting them excited about the experience they're about to have with you. And then X, the JSX, X factor moments. So this is where I want you guys to deliver these X factor moments that surprise and delight. What are you doing different that everybody else isn't doing? Go above and beyond. Okay. These are the stories they're going to tell their friends about, their family, the others that, like, man, this is where the experience, not the design, not the install, but the experience becomes the product. Okay, this is an experience we're trying to get into. So, a couple examples. When the project's complete, you could send them a surprise thank you gift. It's customized to something that they like. Again, if you get to know them and they're into golf, or they like drinking wine, or they're into art, get them a customized gift. These are the things they're going to be talking about. And of course, we want them to talk about our lighting, but in a lot of cases, it's going to be these other smaller, simple things. Okay. I've heard of people hosting private reveal parties. Okay, these walkthroughs instead of just like turning the lights on. And finally, you could do a follow up 30 days later with a handwritten postcard, a handwritten note, before and after photo. Right? What if you gave them a physical before and after photo album, which is easy to do now with technology, for them to have as a keepsake? So these are the things, guys. JSX, journey before the sale, sensory triggers, and X factor moments. I want you to keep in mind, you can come up with your own JSX framework for your business. And that's my challenge to you. Okay. So differentiate by experience. So your challenge is, I want you to stop thinking like the spirit and the frontier and like, oh, it's just a simple process. I'm going to run these people through the system, whatever. I just want you to pick one touch point. Okay. This is in your sales or customer journey. And whether it's your first phone call, it's your proposal, it's your follow-up, ask yourself, how can I make this feel first class? Don't get overwhelmed. Don't try to recreate the wheel here. I just want you to find one area where you can really kind of focus on this. How can I create an experience that these people are going to brag about, that they're going to tell their friends, they're going to tell their family? That's what this is about. Because remember, people won't remember your price. They will remember how you made them feel. So spend some time this week thinking outside the box. Allow yourself some creative time. A lot of you are so busy that you don't have time to be creative. Okay, you're just going from appointment to appointment and put on the fire and do all these things. But literally schedule time on your calendar, put a 1 hour block, and go create your JSX moment. If they remember how you made them feel, they'll forget what you made them pay. All right, guys. I just had that experience. I'm like, I had to share that because so many people are missing the boat on this, and they're just running through the motions, and they're just doing the thing, and you forget that you can be different. You can differentiate yourself. So, real quick before we have Eric on. Oh, what's that? That's my Nashville theme background music. Just a reminder, guys, we are the #1 landscape lighting show in Nashville, Tennessee. And you know what? We could not do this without your support and the support of our #1 show sponsor, Emery Allen. Emery Allen is the go-to lamp supplier in the landscape lighting industry with a proven track record of excellence. Emery Allen is at the top of their game. When it comes to lighting, we all know the fixture is only half the story. The real magic happens when you pair it with a premium lamp, and that's why I trust Emery Allen. Their LED lamps are engineered for performance, reliability, and a beautiful, consistent color. Whether you need G4s, MR16s, or specialty lamps, Emery Allen has you covered with some of the most dependable, high-quality lamps on the market. Plus, they're designed to perform in tough outdoor environments, which is exactly what we lighting pros demand. So better lamps, better projects, better profits with Emery Allen. If you haven't taken advantage of the hookup, all you need to do, guys, is email tomg@emeryallen.com and mention that you heard about him here on Lighting for Profits. They will hook you up with the discounted contractor pricing. So don't go to their website when you can get the LFP discount. That's right, the Lighting for Profits discount, by emailing tomg@emeryallen.com. All right. So I think it's time, you guys. I think it's time. Eric, is it time? He's like, I think it is. The moment we've all been waiting for. Let's get the music going and get Eric Holmgren on the show. Welcome to the show, Mr. Eric Holmgren. What's up, buddy? We might be having technical difficulties. I don't know if it's on my end.
I think we are having a little technical difficulties. I'm trying to see if it's on my end or if it's on your end, and I can't really figure it out.
Well, we do have some live people. I forgot to check the notes here, but what's up, Sean Day? What's up, Paul Val? How are you, sir?
We got Paul. We got Sean.
We got Bear.
We
Bear
got
Workman in the house.
the man, the one and only Bear Black.
What's up, James? So
James.
maybe if you guys are listening live, would you tell us, like, am I glitching out? Is Eric glitching out, or were you? Is this even
let us know if it's on one side or the other. Because if I need to switch to a different device, then I'll do that real quick. But I don't know what's going on.
I think we're good now.
It seems
well,
to have balanced itself.
yeah, welcome back to the show, man. It's good to see you.
You too. I'm
I
excited to
found,
be here.
found a nice country jingle there to make sure you fit right in.
Yeah, well, I'll give you guys a little snippet of my company jingle before we get off of here. So,
Oh, I'd love it. So, well, do me a favor. I know you've been on the show before. It's been about a year since you were on, but just do a quick intro of yourself and who
yeah,
Eric is and how the heck you got into the lighting industry.
yeah. So, a lot of people know this, but for those of you that don't, so I actually was in the music industry for about 15 years, and based in Nashville. We run Music City Outdoor Lighting, which was previously a different name. I bought them out last year to rebrand everything. So that's been a fantastic acquisition for me to use the name to continue to build the brand, which is, as we all know, a very important thing. So I came from the music industry, started my company as we'll call it investment idea right before COVID. COVID hit, music went poof. And I went, oh crap, I got to dial in more into this. So met with Ryan back in 2021 when I was a company about this big with just me and sometimes a guy with me doing all the ins and outs of every piece of selling, installing, and God knows what. And got into the system very early on and have 10x the size of my business since joining, which I did in a period of about 3 years. And 2024 put us right at about $1 million in sales. So if you guys are on the fence about doing this or not doing this, if you're just listening to the podcast and you haven't actually gotten into the system, you're seriously missing out. I don't care what anybody tells you. Don't listen to them, because the reality is you can be a fantastic designer. You guys can know what you're doing, putting lights in, but if you can't make the dollar bills at the end of the day, what does it matter?
I love it, man. No, and actually last time you were here, you shared that story and I didn't even really realize that. It's funny because when I meet with people, we do strategy sessions and we find out, hey,
Sure.
where are you at? Where do you want to be? Like, does it make sense to work together?
Yeah.
And I remember meeting you and like a lot of people kind of give the same objections of like, oh, it's more than I thought and can't afford it. Like, doesn't matter if you're selling lighting or coaching, whatever, like it's kind of normal, but you don't really know like if someone's broke or not, you're like,
You have
what
no idea. I didn't have a puck to
step
piss
up.
in when we had our conversation. I can tell you that right now. Like
Yeah.
nothing, dude. So my son is 6.5 right now, and I've shared this with a handful of people on here, but I tell people this to think about it when you're starting your business and realizing how hard it really is. When I started my business, it was when my wife was pregnant with our now 6.5-year-old, and when he was born, he was 6 weeks old, and my wife was calling me. This was a couple weeks before Christmas, and she called me because our credit card was declined for her just to buy groceries. Like, we had nothing. And I was just doing whatever I could to try to figure it out to make it by. And, had to go from there, from being flat broke to, growing and expanding and building what is an actual business now, and expanding into multiple areas. But it takes a grind, and it takes the right type of person to know what you've got to do and the hours that you have to put in, and realize that you're gonna lose some sleep over it. But if you can get through those headaches, there's a whole other side on the other, on the other side of it, that is worth the grind and the effort that you put in.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because most people that start businesses don't have a rich uncle. Like we all go through that phase, and it
Nope.
sucks because
Nope.
it's not fair. It's like, dude, wait a
Yeah.
minute. Like you're contributing to the economy. You're going to change the world, but you can't afford groceries, and you pay your team members before you pay yourself. And like,
Oh
it's
yeah.
great. It blows my mind that what we as entrepreneurs are willing to go through.
I saw a thing recently, and it showcased the idea that it says an entrepreneur's average bank account can start out the week at 29 cents. By Wednesday, you have $31,000 in change, and then by Friday, you are down to $6 and whatever's left.
If you're lucky. Yeah.
If you're lucky. And there's the $6 you have to get through the weekend.
Well, it's been pretty cool, and I know you're just still writing your story, you know what I mean? Like, but one of the goals was like, hey, I love music, but COVID and all these things, and plus the music industry is just freaking killer. I want to get into lighting so I can make enough money so that I can support my music industry. I don't have investors, I don't have sponsors, all that stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's been cool to see, like, like not everyone succeeds in business. Like some people, they get into the lighting industry and 6 months later they're out, or 18 months later they're out, whatever it is. But you've had your ups, your downs, and you're continuing to forge forward and create your own destiny, really.
Pretty much, yeah, yeah. It's had its shares of bumps and grinds, and highs and lows, and definitely not. I won't say mountaintops. We've hit some hilltops, and then come tumbling down the other side. But that's again, like that's growing a business, and that's learning and understanding the things that you don't do before you start understanding the things that you do. That wasn't intended that way, but
You do. You do.
and the reality of that is, like, when you get into the process, what's the number one way to figure out how to be successful? Find 100 ways how not to be. Like, that's how you learn. You learn by screwing up, basically, and you go, well, I'm not going to do that again. And then you progressively find the way that does work, because it isn't like, learning and fast tracking and all that kind of stuff. That's great. But at the end of the day, it's not a one-stop shop for everybody. Everybody has a different role. Everybody's going to approach it slightly differently. Some people excel in certain areas of their business and they really suck at other parts about it. Like, there's some guys that are really good on the techie side. I'm terrible at it. So I hire people to do that stuff because I know I'm terrible at it, but you're going to take a lot of time to learn how that works ultimately, because it's not a one fit scenario. But when you have the tools in front of you to help you dial in that approach, whether you create your own little nuances with it, whatever, there is still a structure to that can, it's literally, in my opinion, the reason that the idea of a business coach was developed. Much like working with you, the idea is that we've stepped into a world of things that I couldn't even believe to, put together or understand as far as business goes. And it's taken me from this big to, where we're at now. And it's not that it's going to stop there, but it's, it's different for everybody.
Yeah. Well, what are some things that you've learned about yourself over the past, 5, 6 years that you're like, you know what, I thought I was going to be better at this, or man, turns out I'm better at this than I thought. Are there certain strengths or weaknesses that have risen to the top?
Say that one more time, because we had technology glitches again.
Oh, buddy. Just talking about your journey, 5, 6 years owning your own
I don't
business.
know if it's on.
Can you hear me? I can
Now
hear
I
you.
can.
I can hear you. So, what are some things, maybe strengths and weaknesses that have risen to the top? Are there certain strengths that you have learned about yourself, or weaknesses that you've learned about yourself?
Yeah. So the one of the major things that has been noted, even within my own team, is that my biggest strength in my business is two categories. Number one, definitely the visionary factor. Like, I can see the ideas, and I can see, the stretch of that and bringing things to the table that would be fantastic. But the other category that I seem to be really dialed in on is my interaction with people, and just the availability to, to have the the process that goes into the selling stuff. I've been good at installing, and I don't necessarily want to do it anymore, because no, everybody wants to get to a point where they don't have to spend any time in the field, for sure. But I have, I've had a lot of success in growing, in knowing how to approach the sale, and I think that comes from me entertaining people for so many years.
Mm.
I've developed a good knack for being in front of people and knowing how to drive an audience in certain ways to, to make them experience and feel things from my music background and playing live shows. So in essence, I kind of walk people through that same approach when we do our sales process. And, and again, like, I play off of those exact terms when I do it. I will literally utilize it. I've even been playing around with things lately with Chat GTP on just developing terminology that we're embedding into what we're doing with our website and everything. And it's terminology that plays off of the fact that we're in Music City, and we can play off of that, that music and artist interactive factor, using terminology like setting the stage and, creating this, creating this live experience and things of that nature. And it's made it very interesting and bringing a level of enjoyment to it that I didn't really think that I would find.
That's cool. Yeah. And I think you're dead on. You've got the Music City brand now. You've got the background. Like if you start customizing that experience,
Yeah.
like it's not about price. It's like it's that brand, and it's like, no, that's who we want to go with. We're all in with that brand. What are some other, maybe some more challenges, some weaknesses where you're like, oh man, I didn't know this was going to be so hard, or things that you've struggled with, or some of the struggles?
The automation process that goes into like qualification in general, like I'm good with that as far as like making sure I go through that on the phone and whatever else. But the actual automation process and or like getting those things in where we're touching people on a regular basis, whether it's in blogs or that sort of thing, and developing ongoing relationships with these clients and making sure that we're consistently in front of them. That's not an area that I have a strong point at all, which is interesting because I inevitably have probably realized that was, I bet, a very strong shortcoming of the way that I interacted with people when I was full-time in the music industry too, was, I wasn't doing nearly enough in a social platform comparatively to a lot of these other artists that see a lot of success out of it. And I'm recognizing that now because I've put so much effort into the content creation side of things in the last probably year and a half or so, give or take.
Well, it's a good point, because I think that's a common weakness amongst all. I mean, you mentioned some of your strengths are visionary and sales. A lot of entrepreneurs, that's their strength, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of their weaknesses, the organization, and
Yeah.
these other things that need to happen. And I've shared this a lot. The year that I sold my business, we did $600,000 in repeat business alone.
Right.
And I'm not saying that I could have been 1.2 if I was better. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
but it was because we were focused on that client journey and those touch points, and staying engaged with them via email. And we didn't do texting back then, but we did emails and maintenance plans and stuff like that. And this is where the magic happens, because if you can get better at that, and with you, it's just going to be like finding the right people and hiring. It's the who, not how.
Exactly.
Once
Great book,
that
by the way.
happens, once that happens, now all of a sudden it's okay to spend a certain amount of money in advertising, because it's not just the ROI that you get right then, but 3 months later when you do their
Right.
backyard, their neighbor 6 months after that, their cousin a year later when they move to their, or get their lake house or whatever it is. That's where the money's made. And most people aren't good at that. Most people are just a one-time transactional relationship, and that's okay. But
Yeah.
that's the hard part about business, is the
Yeah.
transaction.
And I think I've realized over the time, like we've done a good job of taking care of the clients that we have, because we do have a lot of repeat business. But what I'm also looking at, as much like what you said, like I'm wondering what percentage of repeat business we're losing because we're not necessarily staying as in front of them as we could. We're memorable to those people that we give a great experience into, that maybe have a larger project and they're like, okay, well, now we want to do this house because we sold this house, and that's fantastic. But I also wonder, what percentage of people forget the name or forget who they're trying to keep in touch with, and they maybe just go with the next best option that's out there, and when they go to do something else and they don't remember the process or the company, the interaction that you're doing. Which I think for me, buying Music City was a huge component of that, because now we're creating a brand that can be very, very pinpoint stapled into them, and now we need to do a better job of really making sure that we stay in touch with these people and develop that long term ROI out of a client, of what is the the lifetime value, not just the as now value.
Right, exactly. The lifetime value. I mean, if people focused on that, they'd see a lot more success. And to your point, I this happened to me. Like, I did this client's house in a really nice gated neighborhood. I can't remember the dollar amount, but every house in there was minimum $20,000 project. So let's just say it was 20,000. It could have been 40. I literally can't remember. And it wasn't, it was like 6 months later, we sent out an email, and it was like, we had a couple holiday spots we needed to fill. So we just sent it to like our top clients. You know, we didn't send it out to everybody. We didn't even advertise it. We did Christmas lights. We sent it out. She calls me, or, you know, gets it booked or whatever. I go out there and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you guys emailed us." And I was like, "Oh, of course." We love emailing. And she's like, "Yeah, I was asking my husband, like, we could not remember for the life of us who did our lighting. And we thought whoever did it would do the Christmas lights, but," and I'm just like, how did they forget that they just spent 20, 30, 40, $50,000 with a lighting company, like literally a few
Yeah.
months before, and
Yeah.
they already forgot who we were?
Yeah.
Most of us are like, dude, if we spend anything over 10,000, we're probably going to remember that for our life. You know, it's like, that's a lot of
100%.
money. To them, it's not that much. So it reminded me, I'm like, man, we hadn't sent an email out for a while. Like, it was just when we needed something. So that reminded me, like, dude, we need to stay engaged with these people on a regular basis, because if they
Right.
forgot who they spent tens of thousands of dollars with in that short period of time, how many jobs are moving forward because the landscaper says, "Hey, while we're here, you want us to throw in lights?" The electrician, the AV company, whoever it is, we're all missing out on opportunities if we're not staying engaged and focused on
Yep.
lifetime value.
Yep. Absolutely. And, you know, I mean, a lot of people, they'll like, a great example of that is getting into, you know, like content creation, doing social media ads and that sort of thing. Everybody's like, "Oh, I spent $1,000 this month and it's my first month and we didn't really get much for leads, so it must not work." It's not a month to month transaction. It's building value and building brand over time. Like, you know, I mean, like I said, we started working on our content a year and a half ago. In a year and a half time frame, I built out over 700 reels on my Instagram and Facebook account. And that's just the organic side. That's, you know, that has to be there so that when you do have good ads on the outside, to where it's bringing them to your page, now there's a funnel of stuff that they can get lost in, almost like a TikTok world. And then, you know, you can grab their attention and keep their attention, as opposed to just, you know, throwing out a really good ad and then they come over to your page and it's like, wow, there's nothing here to look at. There's 10 posts and, you know, 3 of them are worth something and the rest of them suck. So now I don't know what to think about this company, because you don't have a presence. It takes time.
Well said. Well said. I honestly, what this was not on our menu today, but I'm glad you brought it up,
No, it
because
wasn't, but I think it's a good topic.
it's great, because a lot of people will go do a video or post something, they get 2 views and they give up. It's discouraging. You're like, well, I'm not going to make this if no one's going to watch it. You know, like, I don't care if my mom sees this or my wife or whatever. But what you just brought up is a super valuable point. You might only have 2 views today. Maybe you don't have enough followers. But when you do turn on ads, when people are going to check you out and go, you know what, let me check this person out, you better have a lot of good content there, and not just 2
You
old
gotta have
videos.
you gotta have a backlog funnel of that. I know. I love listening to you know, like if we're talking podcast per se. Everybody that knows me knows that I'm a huge proponent of, and I tend to listen to a lot of Alex Hormozy. It's, you know, I mean, if you don't, it's probably worth your while to. He's done a lot of great things in business, but one of the interesting things that he talks about a lot is the time it took to get where he is, because, you know, he was like, when you grow those numbers, you think and start out and you say, oh, you know, it's exciting that I got my first, 20 consistent listeners, you know, and then it grows and grows and grows. And everybody's like, oh my God, this guy's, you know, he's got, you know, millions of followers. And it's like, yeah, but it took years and years of grinding with, you know, little to no followers to get to that point.
Absolutely. Well, and here's the difference too. Sometimes you'll see like the Hermoses and stuff like that, and you're like, oh man, they have millions. I was just gonna look and see. I don't know how many followers I have. I have 2,000 followers on Instagram. My goal is not to get the most followers and try to beat Hermosi with millions or whatever.
No,
We're in a niche market, right? You
right.
only need, I mean, I've said it before, you only need 200 people to give you $5,000 to make $1 million. You only need 20 people to give you 50K. Heck, you only need 2 people to give you 500K. Like, there's a lot of different ways
Yeah.
to make $1 million, and we don't need millions of followers in our markets. We don't
There
need
is
that.
there's a woman that runs an Instagram account that does it's a specialized insurance platform for something in medical billing, basically. And she works with a very specific type of clientele. And she only has about 2,500 followers on her Instagram account, and it's more direct B2B type sales. This woman clears $5 million a year in profit that she takes home, and she posts like once a day. She has like 2,500 followers, and she is raking in the cash.
That's awesome. Well, I'm excited. I know you're making some moves behind the scenes, which we won't really talk about now, but if anyone's not following Eric, Music City Outdoor Lighting, you guys are going to see him blow up over the next little bit. So that'll be fun.
Oh yeah.
I want to talk about audio
Yeah.
because speaking of like lifetime value, I mean, you don't have to just wait for clients to call you and say, "Hey, I want to add lights." There's other things that we can do if we're already out trenching in the yard and stuff like that. You've obviously got an audio background, but you now offer this outdoor audio to clients. What has been your results with that?
Amazing. And if anybody is listening on here that doesn't actually infiltrate the idea of selling audio to your clients, and you're doing, an outdoor lighting and or just like a property service, if you're doing something else and you're just thinking about doing lighting, think about this as a component of that. I promise you, it is not as complicated as it may seem, because you don't have to get into the weeds when it comes to outdoor audio application. So that is one of the biggest things I can say with that. Where it came from with me was when I started my business and I started developing a couple of relationships with referral partners. And this was actually long before I even got in with you and started working with Landscape Lighting Secrets. But I had one of the pool contractors that I work with, and he just made a comment to me one day, and and we were talking about something, and he goes, "And you can do an audio package for this one too, right?" And I stopped and I went,
Yes.
yeah, because I'd never thought about it before. And I agreed to it, and I had to go home and do the research just to figure it out. Cause like, obviously, yeah, I have a decent, outside of doing the, the artist, sort of thing. I also spent years doing audio production and studio work and all that kind of things on the other side of it. So I spent a little bit of time kind of understanding the do's and the don'ts of what went into the outdoor application to it because of my knowledge and my background. And we kind of started putting that together, and it just took off from there. And I'll give you a little tip into this one. So we just did an audio install at a property last week, and it was a system that we sold for $10,000. And it took two guys about 3 hours to install.
Wow.
That was it.
That's crazy. Well,
So
I want to throw this out there real quick.
if we're
just as a
talking apples
tease.
to apples as far as profitability goes, it's something that you can put into your system that will very, very closely, it will very closely tie into exactly the idea that you want. Because I think a lot of people are like, oh well, we're already doing this lighting thing, and we're really profitable. And I'm telling you, audio can be extremely profitable for you. It's not that difficult. There is a couple key factors that I will say that goes into that world of things that you would want to do in certain ways that don't shoot yourself in the foot. I will say that because I've seen a lot of really bad examples of it too. So there are ways that you want to approach that.
Well, I want to ask you some tips and stuff like that, but I do want to tease this in just a few minutes. We're going to do a giveaway. We're going to do a raffle, and I think Eric is just like, you know what? I want to be a giver. I want to do this. So, oh wait, I'm not going to show that yet. We are going to do a giveaway. Okay. So I have a link I'll share, and I'll say it out loud for those listening to the audio. But Eric is going to give away, actually tell us what you're going to give away at the end of the show.
So for whoever the lucky winner is, I am giving away an hour worth of, we'll call it powwow session, but I'm giving away an hour's worth of coaching / training in infiltrating outdoor audio into your business that you are already running as a lighting designer or whatever service you're offering to a customer. So we will dial into that. We will get into the details of the options that you have out there, what does and doesn't make sense, and get you with a basis in an hour's time frame that you should feel comfortable to be able to go out and sell that system to your clients.
Okay, sweet. So it's going to be a raffle. There's only going to be one winner. I'll share the link here in a few. But this honestly is such a cool opportunity because this is an opportunity to have a new revenue machine in your business that you can do hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I just wanted to tease that. But before we do that, give us some more information on the audio. How do you sell it? Are you doing demos? Are heck, Sticker shock with landscape lighting is a real thing.
So
I'm sure it happens with audio too. How do you do this?
so audio definitely has its same kind of nuances as far as the sticker shock value goes, much like you would do with the lighting. So there are ways that you can kind of curb that. And ultimately, it's going to be one, product selection. I am a huge proponent of trying to work with products that you aren't just going to grab off of a Best Buy shelf. So find a product that you can work with that is a classified contractor grade, much like you would with your lighting products. That's one of the areas that you can definitely separate from, not being the Hampton Bay guy that installs lights. You don't want to be the guy that's grabbing, audio off of the shelf in Best Buy or Walmart to stick into somebody's yard. That's probably not going to be a benefit to you. One of the other key areas that you'll get a lot of pushback is on the actual cost of what you're doing. And again, you need to, much like you would with the lighting, you need to paint the experience. This isn't just about putting a product in the yard. You really want to be painting the experience. And here's a helpful tip that I'll give you guys that I always work with clients if we're looking at a transformation in this format, because likely we're already talking about lighting and we're going to introduce audio. And here are the 3 key factors that you want to ask a client when you're in that backyard environment, which I highly recommend that you should be standing in the backyard when you're doing this. Paint the picture and say, when you look at this space right here, maybe they're in the process of putting a pool in or they've already got one. When you look at this space, tell me what you see now, and then tell me what you think are your top 3 answers for what would make this environment here a resort versus just a pool in your backyard. What is the difference between going to a Caribbean resort and how you feel and what you interact versus what's sitting in your backyard right now? And I typically can get 2 or 3 answers that I'm always looking for when I say that to a customer. Number 1 is lighting, number 2 is audio, and number 3 is fire features. So if you can set that precedent in their mind that they are there to create their own individual backyard oasis, then this is a very key component of that, because they're going to give you answers anyways. And then you get to lead into the idea that there's value to that, because now you've experienced that's literally at a resort, and you're talking about bringing resort value to their own backyard. So now you've stepped up the perceived value of what that ticket is worth to them internally.
That's good.
So,
I thought someone
and
would
then
say,
it's the design factor that.
I thought someone was going to
What's
say
that?
personal waiter bringing pina coladas.
I mean, if if you've got your own Dilio hanging around that can provide you with a margarita while you're sitting out there at the same time, then more power to you. But most of the time, I end up being that guy when I'm at home. So.
Exactly. So that's the 4 thing. It's the 3 things plus that. It's 4.
Yeah, it's the 4 things now, not the 3 things.
Okay, very cool. So, and then do you do a demo?
Do not.
You don't even do a demo, and they're still
Nope.
buying these $10,000 systems.
Nope. I have never done a demo on anything in my life when it comes to this business. I've never done a lighting demo. I've never done an audio demo. I don't do it. It's if you know how to sell properly and you can paint an experience to people, then it isn't going to be a necessary thing. And I'm not saying don't do it to start out. Like, if it's a piece of what you feel you need to convince somebody, that's great. But I also have examples. I can bring them to my property. I can bring them to another client's property. We can showcase things, and give them that. And I agree that a lot of people would assume you would want to do a demo when it comes to audio, because audio is actually something you need to hear. You're not going to hear that in a video per se. But think of the environmental aspect of how you're working with this. 90% of people that are going to buy these systems are around a pool area. Number 1 answer that you're going to get from people having kickback questions of why this is necessary is they're going to say, well, I've got a Bluetooth speaker, so why do I really need to spend all this money in audio? And I say, you know what? You're right. But you see that waterfall that's at the end of your pool right there? You see these luminaire deck jets that are sitting around your water? What happens when you have a couple of people over and you're trying to entertain and you've got all these water features on because you really want to show them how cool this space is and you want to create that ultimate experience for them? How do you think it's going to feel when you've got a Bluetooth speaker stuffed over in the corner right there compared to this resort feel that you're trying to go for? You're not, because the noise that is drowned out from those water features or those deck jets and whatever else is going to completely ruin the experience of the ambiance of the audio that goes around that space. So you have to design it properly where you've got speakers in certain locations all the way around that space. You're not just dropping a speaker or two and blasting them off the back of the house because now it's way too loud next to the house and you can barely hear it on the other side of the pool because you've got all this water movement noise that's creating issues with that. So it's just painting pictures and letting them understand that there's an environment aspect to this. You can't just stick a speaker in the corner of the room like you can in your bedroom in the house.
Yeah. I'm impressed that you're able to do it without demos. I feel like I get in my own head here. Like you say, they say to not sell with your own pocket book and stuff like that. I'm like, I know if you came to me and I know what good audio is now, but if you came to me before I did and you're like, hey, you want to get some speakers? I'm like, hell yeah, let's get some music. And then you're like, okay, it's $12,000. I'm like, hell no, let's not get some music, But then if I hear it and feel it, then I'm like, oh man, I can't not have that. Like I'll find a way, you know what? Let's just get it done, Whereas it's like, oh, it probably sounds better than a Bluetooth. It just doesn't get me going. So at least me, and again, I know I'm in my own head right now. I think especially if you're new, it's not going to hurt to get a couple demo speakers and turn them on for people so that
100%.
they're like, wow, I see what you're talking about, Eric. Like turn on your Bluetooth, turn on the waterfalls. How's that sound? They go, oh, that sounds good. Then you turn it off and you turn yours on. It's like, whoa, we didn't know what good meant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. But again, like you got to a point where you could sell lighting all day without having to do a demo offer to people. So
exactly.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Like you get to that level of confidence to know how to walk these people through these questions and showcase to them, like, what they want and you've already built that rapport with them. And like, I can tell you, I've literally had conversations with people and before I've even finished the sales process to give them numbers, they've already asked me, so who do we need to make the deposit check out to? Like, are we going to make it out specifically to you or does it, to Music City? And I'm like, hold on. We haven't even talked about what the cost is. And they're like, yeah, it's cool. It's cool. Like we can see you have what we want. So, we're ready to get this knocked out. So I've had people want to give me checks before we even talk about what the actual cost of it is, because that at that point you've created such a comfort level and a trust level with these people that it doesn't matter to them what it costs. You throw out a number. I did one probably about a month and a half ago on a total backyard transformation. We're doing a whole lighting package. They're putting a pool house in, a pickleball court, all this stuff. So we're doing a bunch of lighting with it, but I ended up selling a $22,000 audio package with it as well, just because it was a conversation that was brought up and they're like, yeah, it'd be nice to have some audio out here. And I was like, okay, let me talk to you about this, how this will work and why we put things where we do. And and the lady was like, oh, that sounds amazing. And I was like, if you want to dial this part back, and she's like, no, we need to have this as a separate zone. I was like, all right, well, if you need to have it separate, then this is what you've got to go with. And she's like, okay, cool, let's do it. Just like that. And it's like a $22,000 audio package.
That is so rad. It's so cool because it's just an opportunity that most people aren't taking advantage of. And the key to all this is like make more offers. And worst case, if you make an offer for like, hey, it's 30,000 in lighting and 22,000 in audio, and they're like, you know what, Eric, we're not going to do the audio right now. Let's just do the lighting. Oh, I'm sorry, I only made 30 grand off this client today, and I'll get the 22 later on. It gives them something to say no to, or it gives those buyers, which there are a lot of buyers out there, there's a lot of people that want to spend money that want that experience in their backyard.
Oh yeah,
They're like,
yeah.
let's do it.
I mean, these people are spending $52K with me between their lighting and their audio. So,
Phenomenal.
yeah, I mean, that's what some people's yearly paycheck is right there. So, the money is out there, and it'll come if you dial it in the correct way. 100%.
Well, you've done good getting into like bigger projects. What's the biggest project you've done so far?
We've got one that we're actively doing right now. That's 82,000.
Wow. That's
So
cool.
that's a pretty decent one. My goal is to I would like to have one in the next month or so that I can say that we sold an over 100K project, which may actually happen tomorrow. I have a meeting with a couple that has a 50-acre estate that we're discussing. So and lighting, mile-long driveway, and all the potential is pretty high in that environment.
That's awesome. Well, most people think I'm crazy when I talk about manifesting things and everything else, but I'm just telling you, like, you get what you focus on. And if
Yeah.
you're constantly thinking, I'm going to get $100,000 job this month, I'm going to get $100,000 job this month, your subconscious works for you while you're sleeping. Like, you see opportunities differently than before. You'll talk to someone that you weren't willing to talk to. Like,
Right.
that's how it's done. You have to get intentional on what you want. I know I've shared it with you. I've shared it with a few others, is my 2050. I'm like, you know what? If you want to make $1 million in the next 12 months, you just need 20 people to give you 50K.
Yeah.
Just go out there and make, if that was your focus every single day, every single week, every single month, like, I don't know, maybe you get 22 people, maybe you get 18 people, maybe some people give you 10 grand. But the point is, you're going to go and attract those 20 people to give you 50K in exchange for a badass lighting experience, a badass audio experience, whatever's in your arsenal. But 2050, and maybe if you're a bigger thinker, then just do 10 100. Like, what, you can make the numbers whatever you want, but until
Yeah.
you get intentional, you're just going to keep getting what's given you. And I think there's more to life than that.
Yeah, and I like I saw somebody posted something the other day, and they were overwhelmed with a job that they were talking about, and they were just not sure, is the potential for a job that was going to be like 100 fixtures that they were going to be bidding on and all this stuff. And what it kind of painted a picture of, and what I feel like I've always had a decent knack for, even when I started this, was not feeling like I could go into a sale and lack the confidence and lose it because I just fumbled and I looked like I didn't know what I was doing. The biggest thing you can do is try to go into any and every meeting that you have with the feeling that you can take care of their wildest dreams, no questions asked, and just get the deal and figure it out once you get the deal. Because and I know Greg Matthews is a great proponent of this. I mean, the guy is the, like, every project of his is what somebody's only dreams of, basically.
Right.
But in his world, what I like is that, it's you break it down. Like, you sell $100,000 project. It's not $100,000 project if you look at it correctly. You section it out, you build it. You say, okay, I just sold 5 20K jobs. You know how to manage a 20K job, no problem. So manage the 100, but manage it in 20K increments so that you can take that stress level out of it and digress it down and feel like you're empowered to knock this out of the park now, because you just have to put it into blocks and build it one block at a time.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah. And let's do a giveaway. You want to do a giveaway? So if you guys want to, whether you're watching or listening, you can go to landscapelightingsecrets.com/ is that a slash? I think it's a slash, podcast -giveaway.
Forward slash.
Yeah. And then is it a dash between podcast and giveaway?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So landscapelightingsecrets.com /podcast -giveaway. If you're qualified to be able to type that in, then you could win an hour with Eric and help you get your audio division launched, which would be literally, this is worth a ton of money because, like, you're getting an expert who already has tons of experience. And
Yeah.
uh,
If you guys want an example of that, I know Paul is listening right now. I worked with Paul on a project here recently. He sent me a bunch of design stuff and asked me what my opinions were on what he was doing. So um, he's a great example of somebody that I've already had some conversations with, and helped him dial in the idea that audio is an important part of what he can be selling for these clients.
all right. I think I was making sure it worked before. Oh, it is still working. Okay. So we'll put it in the show notes too. If you guys can't figure out how to type in what I just said, we'll have a link in the show notes so you guys can go there too. But a 1 hour discussion with Eric with Music City Outdoor Lighting about adding audio options to your lighting business. So very cool, man. I appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's killer. What I know you've you've been a coach with us inside Landscape Lighting Secrets. You've
Correct.
also answered a lot of phone calls and coached people for free, mentored and stuff like that. What's been your experience with that? What has coaching others done for you personally?
It's very rewarding. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's something that I didn't think I would enjoy as much as I honestly do. And I feel like there is the strong potential that there may be more of that in the future, as just as time goes on, because to be plainly honest, I know there is a huge lack in the world that is outdoor audio and the training that goes into that. So it is a bit of a conversation that I have had of the potential to possibly set something up for that and do something with it in a coaching format on a much more, on a much bigger scale than just spending an hour with somebody on the phone. So
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, I know for me, they say that actually teaching is the last like best form of learning. And like it's not that I learned everything. I've learned so much just by teaching these last 5 years. Because like I'm like, man, I got to get prepared. If I'm going to talk to Eric about this thing, I got to kind of get my shit together first, right? So it helps you like stay sharp. And then also it's like, man, when you're teaching, you see it just from a totally different perspective, and you're like, man, why don't I do
oh
this
yeah.
too? I mean, you learn so much more just by teaching.
Yeah, I mean, like I know a couple of the names that are on here, are people that I've worked with and done accountability coaching. And yeah, like Bear's commenting here, let's go, E.T. Holmgren. He's one of the ones I've had the conversation with of, that I'm seriously considering trying to put this together and get an audio training program off of the ground. So, but it's a rewarding experience, but I do love the fact that it keeps you extremely sharp. You're going to notice all these little things that you're coaching people on because you have the knowledge there. And then it reminds you, oh crap, I'm not infiltrating this into my own business right now. So like I'm telling these other people to do these things and I'm kind of screwing myself over at the same time because I can teach it, but you're playing that do as I say, not as I do role in business. That's really not what you should be doing. You should be leading by example and actually doing the things that you're telling these people that you're helping them grow and scale their businesses. And you're over there sitting there going, yeah, go do that. And I'm just going to go over here and do this. And why the hell is this month suck right now? It's like, because you're not doing the things that you're telling other people to do.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's cool, man. It's been fun to see you grow. It's been fun to see you helping others grow their business too. I guess as we wrap up here, how do people get a hold of you? And then we're gonna have you send us off with some nice music. How do people
Say
get a
that
hold of
one
you?
more time. It glitched out for a quick second.
How
How
do
do
people
people
get a
get a
hold of
hold
you?
of me? Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We have Music City Outdoor Lighting. You just search it on any one of those. I'm happy to have a short conversation with anybody if they got any questions. You can shoot me a message on there. That's probably the quickest and easiest way to get in touch with me. Otherwise, just hit up Music City Outdoor Lighting or Google us and call the company and reach out to me, and we'll do what we can to help out. I'm all for always helping people out. That's something that I'm a huge proponent of, is playing the playing the it's a team effort environment. So we all have to do our part to keep the industry aware and out there and continuing to grow the value that is landscape lighting and outdoor audio. So we're all out here to paint a picture to say that everybody needs it. And much like you've said, that I'm a huge proponent of that. Like, in a perfect world, everybody needs it. Doesn't matter. It can be security related or health related, because there is health related scenarios to both audio and lighting all day long that you can paint a picture of for people.
Oh yeah. Everyone needs it. Not everyone can afford it, but everyone needs it.
But they can.
So go to landscapelightingseekers.com/podcast-giveaway if you want to enter to win the raffle with Time with Eric. And are you going to play some music for us?
I could do that. Let's do I'll give you guys a little bit of a window into the jingle that was written for the Music City brand that I've kind of been working with. I haven't really put it out much. We're going through the recording process and trying to get everything finalized with it, but then I'll be starting to tag it into some of the content stuff that we're going to be putting out. So it's short. It's like 10 seconds, but it gets the point across and it works well.
Let's hear it.
We're gonna line you up. We're gonna make it shine. Gonna feel that glow from the inside. Music City, outdoor lighting. We make it shine.
Let's go. Man, I need to have my clap sound here. Where was it? Oh, there it is. Love it. Well, that's good, man. Why don't you, instead of me playing my regular outro, why don't you send us off with some good music to listen to as we go? And before that, I want to thank you for your time, Eric. Thanks for jumping on the show.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it, as always.
Congrats on your success so far, and can't wait to see what the next chapter holds.
Yeah, onward and upward, as they say. That's the name of the game, right?
All right, man. Play us some of that Eric Holmgren music as we roll out here.
American born, American bred, blue, white stripes and red, land that we love and adore. Need them right down to the core, American born.
Love it, man. All right, guys, go out and implement. We got the JSX, we got audio, we got all sorts of things. Go out, write something down, do something different today than you did yesterday and make it happen. Thanks for coming on, Eric. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. See you, everybody.